Hi there, Vinny from Project Frugal. This is episode 7 of the story so far. We've been looking at Hyperverse, and now we're looking at Hypernation. In this episode, we're going to be looking at MOF, we're going to be looking at Grig Richters, a couple other players, Keith Williams, a couple of Zoom calls. Oh, it's going to be confusing. So check it out. Welcome back. Now, before we continue on any Zoom calls and get into some conflict and some confusion, first of all, we're going to have a look at Grigorij Richters. This guy here, Chief Executive Officer of Molecular Future, the Rotten Token. And you can see here that we've also got this guy here, Jaden Wee, who was deeply involved in Blockchain Global, Hyperverse, all that sort of thing. Well, prior to Hyperverse, actually, Hyperfund, etc. Been at many events. He's involved in Molecular Future. Grigorij Richters is also involved. Here he is here, highly experienced, blah, 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 blah. While working for well-known large companies such as Vodafone, he was responsible for managing business-to-business relationships, etc., etc. Boring stuff. Let's go and have a look at his wiki page. Now, you'll notice here, there's a good reason why I'm getting to this. He's a director, an activist, and a producer. So he's very good at video creation, amongst other things. He's also an activist. Now, who does that have something in common with? Well, I'll tell you who. It is Mr.H. So I have a theory that Mr.H is Grig Richters, and vice versa, that Grig Richters is Mr.H. But we'll come to that shortly. Molecular Future, the token for the future, last 3 months, basically worthless. Keeps on going down in value, but that's another story. And if you want to get a fantastic mask, just like Mr.H, go onto Google. Google's your friend. You can get one of these fantastic masks, just like Mr.H would wear. Maybe this full face mask gold. Oh, it's in gold. Lovely. $3.24. Well, that's a bargain. Or maybe just this half adult mask. I don't know. Maybe this one's got some nice frills on the outside. That'll be a good one. You've got all sorts of options there. I can't find the one that Mr.H wears. That must be a custom build, I think. Maybe it's part of the blockchain. Let's have a look at this photo, and we'll see why I think these are the same people. So here we go. This is Mr.H, and this is Grig Richters. Now, if you have a look at the color of their skin tone is basically exactly the same. Now, if Grig Richters has got a background in videography, making movies, making films, listening to the accent of Mr.H, basically I can't tell them apart, really. I mean, anyone can mask their own voice, put on a slight accent, make it a bit deeper. Plenty of video editing tools out there to do that. I think it's the same guy. I could be wrong. This is my speculation. What do you think? Got the same ears? From what I can see, anyway. Let's go and check out a bit more of Mr.H and what he wants to do.
The pursuit of excellence is the earmark of evolution. Without progress, the fog of stagnation repudiates the advancement of mankind. With the disappearance of the struggle toward the phantasmatic wholeness of self-actualization, the possibility of betterment shall also be abandoned.
Oh my goodness, what does that actually mean? Well, here's my manifesto. I'm hungry. I'm going to go to the fridge and get something to eat. The end. Brilliant.
There has been growing concerns over the decline of democracy, and some countries are increasingly unsatisfied with how democracy is working in practice. The guiding principle of democratic voting allows the transformation of the expressed will of the voters into the enactment and execution of national policies. That is, the rule of overwhelming majority. However, the looming threat of corruption, gerrymandering, and dictatorship is threatening the very fabric of our society with critical issues.
Oh no! People are not happy with the government. This has never happened before. Or has it?
For example, wealth inequality is a problem that humanity can no longer ignore. Ordinary people from around the world have suffered greatly from the health and economic impacts of the pandemic. While the combined wealth of billionaires has increased by trillions over the same period.
Well, so give all your money to Hypernation, and we can be part of the Millionaires Club as well. Brilliant!
Power and wealth are now firmly consolidated in the hands of the few, to the detriment of the many. My name is Mr.H. As a proud Hypernation, I was motivated to speak out against the tragedies ravaging the world right now. The world is officially in decline, and only Hypernation can save us all.
All hail the new saviour, Hypernation and Mr.H.
It does not have any restrictions and borders. These things are no longer needed for mankind to push past their limits. Superficial boundaries and differences will be stripped away, and the only thing remaining is a place where everyone is treated equally, regardless of race, language, and religion. Hypernation will be the stalwart defenders of liberty and freedom. Hypernation will develop a fully functional economy that advocates egalitarian measures for the benefit of everyone, and not just a select few. Perhaps the most unique thing about this is the enactment of a universal basic income within the nation, and citizens can receive a monthly stipend for their basic needs.
Ooh, goody! Universal basic income. Don't do anything, you'll still get paid. Socialism/communism, all wrapped up within the Hypernation. Fantastic.
The proposal dates back to economist Milton Friedman in the 1960s, and some nations have begun to explore its efficacy. However, the older version of universal basic income may be highly ineffective in the real world. The assurance of guaranteed income will most likely stifle creativity and motivation. Citizens will no longer be content to work, create, or build. This will lead to the downfall of society eventually. This is why Hypernation will add an additional factor to the concept of universal basic income: the value of consensus. The Australian School of Economics dictates value as a completely subjective construct, where a product's value is determined by consumers based on its perceived utility, along with the power of consensus.
Well, he's not telling us anything new. Make a good product, everyone likes it, sweet.
By the same logic, the true value of Hypernation can only be evaluated based on the combined efforts of its citizens. Citizens of Hypernation will receive fair rewards based on their contribution to the nation. No capital is needed, as citizens can make a difference simply by promoting the consensus that forms the basis of the nation. History has shown that a revolution does not come easy. It can be painful and tedious, and Hypernation may meet with a string of failures along the path to success.
Ah, history is showing. History is showing. String of failures? Yeah, I'd believe that.
However, a radiant tomorrow awaits the valiant few, and Hypernation will make the impossible a reality. Hypernation will provide a series of creations for the welfare of the public. New products within the metaverse, such as an NFT passport.
Awesome. An NFT passport. Hi, border control. Will you let me into your country? I've got an NFT passport. Nah, sorry. Oops.
And a public blockchain network that will form the basis of our digital economy. In addition, AI technology will be abundantly used, with machine learning deciphering the thoughts of citizens to create AI characters within Hyperverse. Unencumbered by the laws of physics, extensive research will also be conducted within Hypernation for the benefit of mankind, and the theory of time travel may be made a reality in this era.
Wow, time travel. Look out, Doctor Who. Meet Mr. H.
Hypernation will espouse new philosophies that challenge your pre-existing notions of what an ideal metaverse looks like. Let us all rise up and reject the shackles of systematic restriction and oppression, and jointly create a utopia that celebrates diversity and meritocracy. I am proud to be here for the journey, and will dedicate myself wholly to the revolution. More exciting developments await. Join me to build and grow our glorious Hypernation.
Well, I don't know about you, but that's the worst load of dribble and tosh that I've ever heard in my life. Join us for the revolution? Huh. Bizarre? Yeah, bizarre. Anyway, I believe Grig Richters is Mr. H, and Mr. H is Grig Richters. Now let's move on. Let's go and check out Keith Williams and his recent Zoom meeting. Very interesting stuff.
Still believing. And so I wanted to have a call today just to say to you guys that I know right now there's a lot of uncertainty. Of course, there's this new program coming on. There's a new pro node package solution for leaders. Hyperverse is being consolidated. But my message is always going to be clear. Right now, I'm here because the company has a responsibility and a duty to those individuals who are yet to receive one-times. Would you all agree that those are the most important members right now? Now, I know I can see VIP 3s and 4s and 5s. I know there's leaders on here. There's some lucky ones who are able to sponsor a VIP 5 and they haven't even ranked up. That's a nice position to be in, and they've done that, and they've done very well out of it. So for me, the most important member that the company has to focus on as a priority are going to be the members are yet to withdraw and are yet to receive one-times. And if you're all in agreement with me, that's a good place to start. Would you agree?
Yes, Keith, I would agree. All the people who have joined Hyperverse and are yet to receive basically what they've put in, they should be the priority. They are the ones who've been ripped off, and they're the ones who have been funding the VIP 5s, the VIP 4s, all the other ones, all the uplines and all that. It's not good enough. Simple as that.
Now, for the leaders that are on here, they say, well, hold on a second, Keith. I've been working for 18 months. I've been used to getting 2,000 HU a day, 1,000 HU a day, 5,000 HU a day, 10,000 HU a day, 50,000 HU a day. Yes, Brenda's smiling. I will say that one thing the company has been guilty of, and I can see so many great leaders on here, one thing they have been guilty of is that their corporate guide, corporate mindsets, and they didn't have the mindset of network marketing.
50,000 HU a day. Well, the problem with that, if you can't withdraw it, what's the point? Looks great on paper, but that's about it.
So let's be honest with one thing, that they had a vision to share blockchain and cryptocurrency with the mass. And they gave us the best plan that I've ever seen and we've ever seen for years. I've never seen anything like this in 41 years. I started multi-level marketing in 1981. Most of you weren't even born then. It's a long time ago. I don't look old enough. Thank you so much for that.
41 years ago. That's a long time. Probably Amway. But here, you can buy this toilet roll. It's beautiful. I'll sell it to you for triple the price of what it's worth. Rope in your friends and family. Nice. I'll get some commissions.
Companies that have come and gone. I've done my fair share of multi-level marketing, network marketing, from products to services to all sorts of things. And great companies that have come and gone, and companies that are still around, but it was the end of my journey with those companies, because guess what? Multi-level marketing is very tough. So I'm not here to make excuses, and I'm here to agree with you that these are very uncertain times, very worrying times. But I sometimes feel you need to make a stance and make a decision. I've seen the transition from Hyperfund to Hyperverse. I've seen all the transitions. I've been here 2.5 years, guys. Over 2.5 years. November 2019 is when I first embarked on my journey. And there's only a handful of us back then. And some of them are no longer with us right now. And some of them, whilst leaving, they're throwing bombs and causing despair, sorrow, sadness, anger, frustration, anxiety. So they're throwing all those things into the mix and leaving the building. Nice. think to myself, why would you do that? Some of you who are nodes have seen how I feel and read how I feel about that behavior. You're going to leave quietly, leave with dignity and honor, and just leave with integrity. But I always think for every action, there's a motivation and a reason behind that action. And the vast majority of individuals who have left with a big noise and a big bang, lo and behold, they have a new opportunity for you. Yeah, agree? Some of you might have already been pitched once, twice, from individuals that you thought, wow, man, what just happened to you? And individuals, might I say, that have done extremely well to the tune of 6 figures and 7 figures.
And we know exactly who you're talking about, Keith. Kalpesh, amongst others. Also Roman, Sam, Ryan, they've all gone. Many more have gone. Renee, gone. More to come.
So where are we right now? So important for you to have this mindset. We understand the market is pretty low, yes? Now I hear stories about, oh, these guys are robbing Peter to pay Paul. They need money in to pay money out. And I think to myself, why would you say that? Because in any corporation, you need to have revenue coming in, you need to be able to make profits, and you need to be able to pay out. Would you all agree that's pretty much the model for business? Revenue comes in, sales comes in, profits are being made, and profits are shared. One thing I'll say this company is being guilty of is being overly generous.
Revenue comes in. NFTs. Buy some. Get a membership. Get another membership. Buy some more NFTs. There's your revenue model.
But here's what I've been pushing and getting assurances on. The most important member right now is the member that's yet to get 1 times back. Would you all agree, if you're a team leader here, your team's important, your community is important. So would you all agree that if there's assurances that we will take care of the individuals who are yet to receive 1 times, that's like music to your ears, yes? And obviously, individuals who are struggling with withdrawals, but they haven't received 1 times, are the ones that they've got a basket. They've prioritized these members, okay? That tells me they have a heart and they know they've got a responsibility. Because if they didn't meet their responsibilities, what do you think will happen to the guys that have run off? Well, they'll be found, unless they're taking a space shuttle and they've gone to Mars. I mean, that's just a joke we make, go to Mars, but you don't actually do that. Because they're visible, maybe not to us, but they are visible. They're known, unless they go to a plastic surgeon and change their face, and then they might get away with it. But that's not really going to happen, is it? This is the worst time right now to be jumping into something brand new. Would you agree? Probably the worst time. And there are dozens and dozens of opportunities out there that have just sprung up, guaranteeing the G word. Unbelievable. It's just as bad as the other G word, greed. And so they're guaranteeing all sorts of rubbish out there.
Yep, I don't disagree with Keith there. Hundreds and hundreds of opportunities, which all turn out to be scams. This is no different than Hyperverse, Hypernation. Still the same thing, just dressed up a different way.
What gives me some joy. So how many of you last week saw the bill posters, the banners, the advertising that went up in the 5 countries? How did you feel when you saw that? Now, to advertise in an airport terminal on the side of a building, would you agree that they're not going to let any old scam advertise on the side of a building? Would you agree? Again, it's join up thinking, it's logical thinking. And to me, it tells me that they have a much bigger plan, a more global opportunity, really big. I mean, if you think Hyper Community and Hyperverse was grand, it was huge. Well, those series of adverts around the world, 5 countries around the world, 5 important countries, Germany, Italy, India, South Africa, I can't remember the other country, 5 countries.
Well, that's amazing. Half a dozen billboards, electronic or paper-based, 5 different nations. Incredible. Impressive global marketing strategy. Maybe not.
And you know what? I said in a sea of storm and clouds and thunder and lightning, there was a ray of sunshine. Does that resonate with anyone here? I saw a ray of sunshine. I thought, wow, And I'm really deep in it, guys. And let me tell you this now, I am deep in it because every single day I'm doing 3 or 4 Zooms for different teams. Because for my sins, I sit on top of a huge organization, which now means that I have a lot more leaders who've now rolled up to me because individuals have made decisions to abandon ship, but put their life jacket on first and be the first in the lifeboat. Forget women and children, forget the old. They're in the lifeboat and they're already rowing away from the ship. Who does that? Who does that?
Keith says it himself. He's at the top of the organization and everyone's rowing away in the ship. Why? Because the ship has sunk. That's why.
Their total liability, there's no way even what is put into this new program can cover their total liability. Would you agree? So I've had meetings. I speak to the management team. I don't speak directly to all the board members, the owners, but I do have access to one that will give me a little bit of a heads up, not give me, because there's a board and there's a management team that's been brought in. I believe they're from Malaysia. I can't confirm that, but a professional company that is transitioning us, okay? They're still trying to make good. They're still trying to fix because they believe in the community and they believe in us. Now, let's talk about the migration, should you wish to do that, from Hyperverse, Hyper Community, which will be consolidated. There's a difference between consolidated and cancelled, stopped. There's a big difference. Would you agree? At the moment, they've got to shake the tree until all the dead wood falls off and some pretty strong branches have already fallen off. Would you agree that that is probably the best move for all of us going forward? Yes or no? Hypernation is now in its early stages. So as a leader or somebody who's interested in becoming a node or a pro node, there are opportunities there. We only currently have around about 200 nodes, 250 to 270 nodes and supernode currently in Hyper Community Hyperverse. The last round of nodes was around, I think, September, October of last year. But what they're saying now is anyone can become a node should you wish to become one. Okay, it's open to the entire community because there's many individuals that weren't offered the opportunity to become a node in the old program. And remember, I told you to become a supernode, I had to borrow 30,000 after being in the business for 5 months because I knew it was the right move to do. It's the best decision I've made since I joined.
Now, I'm not quite sure what a node is, but from what Keith is saying, if you want to be high up in leadership, you have to pay and play, and he paid 30 grand. Interesting.
Well, for the big box, there's a cost for the big box, which is kind of like relative because in the 2 years and the success that I've had and many of the leaders, then it's a good option if you've managed things well. And the second box allows you to migrate some of your lines across, I think 10 levels there. I'm not going to go too much into detail because many of you on here, this is the first time you're hearing this. I don't want to go into details. In the Hyperverse Hyper Community, what they will do for the leaders is that they call it asset negotiation. I've got it written down from my meetings yesterday. Some of you probably had your meetings if you're nodes, but I had to ask specific questions before making this decision as to what I'm going to do. So they said to me yesterday that the plan is that the Hyperverse Hyper Community, which will still be growing, you can still have the opportunity there, but it'll be more of a passive opportunity, certainly consolidated. And those leaders from the Hyper Community will have the option or opportunity to have a negotiation around the assets.
So, asset negotiation. If you're a leader within Hyperverse, you can negotiate your HU. You might have thousands, 10,000s, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of HU within Hyperverse. It's going to be negotiated with corporate, whoever that is, because no one seems to know. No one ever mentions any names. They'll negotiate some sort of settlement so you can move over to Hypernation by the sounds of things. Brilliant. What about the metaverse? What about where Hyperverse said it was going? Into the stars, all of that, time travel, blah, blah, blah. looks like that's gone now. Shame.
Good. Okay. I think I've covered some of the most important points. Of course, I don't have all the answers, but based on what I know, you have to make a decision. And I made the decision yesterday that I'm moving into the new program because I'm in all in. Now, some might be able to do that quite easily, and some might have to consider. It's not something you have to do straight away, but I'm obviously speaking to Brenda about how that works with leaders and anybody else who wants to come across the Hypernation. We don't know the full details yet. I think that will be revealed to us in the next 2 weeks. Within the next 2 weeks, we will know how that plan works. You will have marketing material. Everything's going to be available for us to be able to build again. And if you're still in Hyperverse, then obviously there'll be a consolidation there where they will obviously ensure that people are still getting their withdrawals through, and obviously asset negotiations for leaders that have a considerable asset and assets in that program. I'm here because obviously, there's no one else. Sorry, but I find myself in a situation after 2.5 years working even harder than I did in the last few months. It's been incredibly busy right now. But that being said, with great blessings come great persecution, and I also add on responsibility.
So after 42 minutes into the Zoom meeting, Keith explains there's no one else. Well, Brenda's there, but there's no one else. So it's time for the interviews. Let's check some of these out.
Good. My question is precisely about a withdrawal. My first attempt of withdrawal has been over almost 2 weeks now. But unfortunately, it's still telling me that it's pending review. I have tried so many times to text or chat with online help, but unfortunately, all I receive back or I get back is nothing but automated response with no definite time in sight of receiving or giving my refund or with my drawer. So I want to know what is the problem and why is my withdrawal still pending up to this point in time?
Okay, Ignatius, great question. Thank you very much for that question. How many times have you withdrawn in the past? Have you ever withdrawn before? You need to unmute, my friend. Is this your first withdrawal or have you ever withdrawn before?
I have never withdrawn. This is my first withdrawal.
Okay, so you are in that basket and they are manually giving the withdrawals, doing it on a manual basis, because you can imagine how many withdrawal requests are in and they've got to go through them manually, and that's why everything is being reviewed. And of course, there is the priority first. So you'll be in that basket, that priority. I can't do anything for you personally, but I can just say to you that I have had an assurance that this basket of members, and how long have you been in, Ignatius?
Since last year, September.
Okay, so you've been rebuying ever since from day one?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
yes, I have.
So you have a principal initial membership cost, and then you have a pending with rewards, and then you have withdrawals, which rewards which have built up, and now you want to start withdrawing some of your rewards. Yeah. So you're in that
That's
basket.
Right.
If you hear from the beginning, you're in that basket, which is the priority basket. Don't ask me when. I can't tell you exactly when your withdrawals will start to come through, but it was done manually. I haven't received a withdrawal since January. That's when my last ones were done, beginning of January, middle of January. And I've done quite a few, so there's quite a few stacked up. But again, as I said, I'm not a priority, Ignatius. You are, okay? So I can't give you an exact date, but I can just say to you that these members like you are ring-fenced, okay? Can I have the next one? Sorry, my friend, okay? Good stuff.
Ignatius has been a member since September last year, 2021, still unable to get his funds out, having no joy with any communications with Hyperverse. Keith himself says he's had trouble withdrawing since January this year. No money's forthcoming. 1 million members, manual transactions. Do you realise how long that would actually take to process? It's not looking good. Now we're going to have a look at a VIP 5 member. His name is Marcus, and believe me, he's got plenty to say. Check it out.
There are two very important factors here, and that is many of us, and again, whether this is for everybody or not, I'm going to give it anyway. Some of us nodes who are on this call have already had sit downs with corporate, and you really weren't specific on who you sat with, because my concern is trying to figure out who you're aligned with and who we're aligned with. Are we aligned with the same teams in reference to who we speak with at corporate? And the reason that's important, Keith, is because you've given us for the last hour a lot of you, but you didn't give us a lot based on what we need for hyper and this hibernation. And that's a problem for me, because my mind is, I've given blood, sweat, and tears to this, but most importantly, I've given belief to this. So it's not about money. This is about belief in having something for all of us. That's all I came into this for. I was never here for money. Mm-hmm. Now in this transition, we've gotten two sides. I've gotten a side from Gene, Agnes, and Ro. Those are three community leaders, and I think Gene is over them. Gene actually does some of these corporate overviews for the Hypernation, okay? The three of them consistently have said things to me that I will not share on this slide that concern me. Now, you've met with someone, and my feeling is you have this warm and fuzzy that I don't have. And I need to know who you talk to so that we can have that same warm and fuzzy to pass on to this team. We've got 600 people on this line who are leading in this field, looking to build, looking not to be swayed. But I cannot give them a false hope in moving into a direction that I feel gray and hazy in. So the conversion, let's talk about that. We now have Hypernation, where they opened up the 10,000 and 100,000 to all members to participate. The lady who just talked doesn't even apply to her. Doesn't apply to her. The whole point of that is now new USD volume going in. Where again, what you talked about earlier, when you said, okay, as a company, you need some coming in and going out. We know that. But here's the separation. I was specifically told from those three that the nation did not concern with the verse. That's what I was told.
What do you mean by that? Just explain that. What do you mean did not concern?
I will explain it in detail.
Okay.
They said Hypernation was not concerned with paying out members in Hyperverse. So I then said, well, if that's the case, why would I, as a node, take on a $100,000 USDT position with you? Give that to you in the nation, a nation that does not need money. They had new investors come in the nation. Clearly, we know that, Keith. Why? Because they took $1 million billboard in Madison Square Garden, where I live.
Oh, really? Was it Madison Square Garden as well? Wow.
That's right.
I didn't know that.
That's right.
Okay.
Huge. Now, clearly they don't need money. So this is not about money anymore, Keith.
Now, no doubt this was not what Keith was expecting from a VIP 5, but good on Marcus for sticking to his guns and asking the hard questions. Let's check out a little bit more.
So now let's talk about what an investor is. An investor is one who puts in. Now they don't want anything to do with the verse. They don't want the debt of the verse. This is what we were told. I have 7 other nodes who were told the same thing I was told. They don't want the debt of the verse. So now you want me to now put in 24 million into the nation. How do the people who get the one time, forget the leaders, the one-timers, how do they get it? How do they get it if you don't want anything to do with it? And
Marcus,
that's where I'm conflicted.
Marcus. I don't understand when you say they don't want anything to do with it. It's one company. It's one company. It's
It is
one
not
board.
one company, Keith. Let's be
No,
clear.
No. When I say one
Hibernation.
company, let's be honest, Marcus. How many owners are there? You said there's separate owners of Hypernation, separate owners of Hyperverse. I'm not sure if that's
No.
what you're alluding to. We're talking about the same people behind the same company, yes? And the company is one big entity where you've got Hyperverse and Hypernation, which is a new entity within the same setup. Let's be honest, it's not going to be, if you know that, then wow, you know more than me, because I don't know that even now, and you're telling me that you know.
Yes, this is what they've given us. So Hypernation is here. They have investors for Hypernation. Hypernation is separate from Hyperverse. That's what they've told us, Keith. I'm not, trust me, I don't speak unless I know what I'm speaking about.
All right, Marcus, okay, the point that you're making is you've got Hypernation and you've got Hyperverse, and Hyperverse is going to be consolidated. Are you saying that then?
How are they going to get, my point is, Keith, how is the money going to go from the nation and pay the one-times people in the verse if the nation doesn't want to be attached to the verse?
But Marcus, they already are still paying out in the verse. Withdrawals are still taking place. Now, let me get rid of this. I'll say this to you now, Marcus. Withdrawals are still taking place. Now, I can't say when everything will be righted as far as the one-time is concerned, but okay. I get every day daily withdrawal amounts from the Tron scan, and they've been doing. I've been getting it for the last 3 to 4 weeks. Every day they have been paying out, and I've seen even individuals messaging me, "Yippee, I've got my withdrawal through." Now, Marcus, if your only concern is this possible? Can they get out of this? Well, that's going to be something that you have to make a decision on. I feel that this is the only hope that I'm going to hang on to, that they will get this right, because the bottom line is that if they don't fix the old problem of the one-times, let's not talk about leaders. If they don't fix that, then there is a big problem for them. Would you agree?
I do. I agree with you 100%.
I don't think that Ryan Zhu and Sam Lee will just all of a sudden become Mr. Invisible and disappear. And let's be honest, they're the ones who are going to be right up in the firing line. I'm sure they're hanging on to their liberty right now because they understand that there's a massive responsibility. So Marcus, aside from that, because you seem to think that this Hyperverse is not going to be able to get out of its situation, I know one thing for sure, that the liability, the total liability is much bigger, huge outside of the one-times, much bigger. And that's because a lot of leaders, from expert all the way up to VIP5, and individuals who've been able to sit on top of nice teams that haven't ranked up, has got more out than they've put in. And we're not talking about 100 or 500 or 1,000. There's already 450 VIP 5-stars, 450.
Now we're going to introduce David. He's aligned with Troy Richter, Troy Raider, whatever his name is. He's got some things to say. Let's check that out.
Hi, how you doing? Hey,
still fighting the good fight, bro.
I appreciate you, Keith, and I appreciate you, Brenda. But from what Marcus is saying, because I've been on the calls with Marcus with management, and I just want to share with you what was really said to us. To us, we are community leaders, and we want everyone in the community to get the rewards that they deserve. But with that said, there's a lot of unknowns, and so we were trying to find out what those unknowns are. And what Marcus, when he said that, they said that the Hypernation and Hyperverse is two different divisions, and they're trying to move everyone to the Hypernation. Hyperverse is going to be downgraded. We asked them many times what that downgrade means. Then nobody has an answer to it. But here's my concern. When we were on the call, we said, So the first call we had, they said that we're going to roll out a node position the following week. And we're going to let you guys all know first, the V4s, V5s, node, and super nodes prior to everyone else. So we said, okay, we'll wait for that. The following week, bam, it was on the website for everybody. Okay, so they didn't follow through what they said. The second time when we talked to them, they said, yeah, buy into the NFT for 10,000 and 100,000, because 10,000 you get to bring 10 levels over, and 100,000 you bring your whole team over. And then we asked them, what about our pending rewards? Oh, that will be negotiated. So I said, oh, so does that mean like 30% across the board, 40%, or how does that work? No, we will negotiate with you individually. So I said, okay, so you want me to put 10,000, 100,000 out, and then you can negotiate with me? And I'm going,
Well, a long Zoom call went on for just shy of 1 hour and 45 minutes. David and Marcus both brought up valid points. Keith was clearly rattled. He hasn't got all the details. Let's move on to another Zoom call, and this time it's with Troy and David. And let's see what they had to say after this Zoom call.
786, 812, 873, 900, 938. We're going to max out. Doggone it.
oh no.
991, 997, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004. That's it. The 4 panelists and 1,000 attendees. Boy, that didn't take long.
Well, everybody wants to know.
Yeah, this got out viral. This is from Bitcoin Rodney. And he says, great. Have you considered helping us as well on our side, even a little, like maybe just releasing some pending to help some of the team to show good faith? He said, also my pending, I need this to restore some faith in my leaders so they can move their teams as well. Then we can all have a meeting with them and get on the same page. Then on June 13th, he wrote, so again, this is management. Hey, bro, hope all is well. By the looks of things, no one cares to help me or my team with payments at all, as I have asked to move forward on the new project you have laid in front of me. I wish you guys all the luck. I'm departing without malice. Thanks for the great opportunities. Okay, I will keep in touch with you, making sure you pay everyone out, at least what they put in, to make sure everyone is made whole, as you said on your recovery plan for Hyperverse. I will also be making this public so that my teams know we will be moving on to bigger and better things. However, don't worry, I'm not one to talk bad or bash companies as others have. I hope things turn around and you guys make sure that everyone is compensated for what they have done or purchased. My official statement of resignation, Rodney Burton. Now, as you guys know, that's Bitcoin Rodney. So we've got that. Now, I want to just go ahead and just be frank with you guys.
Troy, can I interrupt you for a minute?
Sure.
The chat is going ballistic with Pat's Troy is a fraud thing here. And I just like to say this, Pat, you said that you lost $1,000. I don't know who you signed up under, who got you involved, but you know, we're trying to give you guys an update of what's going on, what we know, and we always give you guys the truth, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. So if you don't mind, if you want to just keep blowing up the chat, you can, but just we'll give you a chance to say your piece down, at the end of the show. All right.
Obviously, I've watched Troy and David in this particular video. I'm going to let this stretch out for another half an hour because they can say what I can't say, but their words say it all. So stay tuned and watch this.
A lot of you guys, probably most of you, aren't getting your withdrawals. They're pending. They're stuck in a pending state, and they have been for some time. David and myself, We haven't had a withdrawal since April 15th, I believe. And, you know, we were trying to get a hold of corporate, to find out what was going on. We wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. We were finally able to get some of the top leaders to arrange calls with management and us. Marcus Davis is our upline. He was responsible for a lot of that. He did a lot of hard work trying to get them to answer the phone. You know, they've got two plans here, it looks like, moving forward. They've got Hyperverse and they have Hypernation. Now, where do I want to start on this thing? Well, I'm going to start with the good news. The good news is they said, and we confirmed this with Keith Williams just a few hours ago today, everybody will be paid out what they put into this, what their membership was. And then if they have leftover in the Hyperverse, they'll pay out, you know, the 3X is my understanding, or 4X, whatever you're in. But according to Keith Williams, there's way too many pending rewards. This thing got out of control for him. And he said there's no way on God's green earth that they could ever repay everybody all their pending rewards. Now, as far as corporate goes, I asked a management representative there, I said, how soon the people with the pending withdrawals, I said, how soon can they see those pending withdrawals? And they said, well, number one, first, we're going to pay out the people that have never got their 1X. I never got their original membership amount back. And so that's what they're working on now. They're doing it manually, you know, and they're doing it one at a time because they have to verify who hasn't got their principal or their membership back yet. Whatever they put in, they get back. And then second, they're going to go to the pending withdrawals. And I said, well, how long will that take? And they said, well, could take as long as 2 to 3 months. Now, everybody in the crypto industry is hurting right now. I mean, Bitcoin dropped to 20,000, something I never thought I'd see happen. And I hope it holds at 20,000 because some of that Bitcoin I bought for 54 and 55. Isn't that right, David? I think we bought some with Satoshi Show money. When it was at 70 and it dropped down to 55, we thought it was a dip. And so we started buying, using our cash to buy Bitcoin. Now, that Bitcoin we bought at 54 and 55. Now that it's down to 20, ask yourself this, is this a good time for us to sell it? Would that be a good business move for us to sell our Bitcoin at $20,000 when we paid 55 for it? You know, 3 times as much. We'd walk away with a third of our cash back if we sold it now. No, we got to hold it until it gets back up to, 55 again before we sell it. And that's the same thing Hyperverse is going through. In my estimation, my understanding from talking to everybody, that crypto crash hit everybody. MOF is down to 0.0003. HVT token is worthless. I mean, David started withdrawing HVT token when it was $10 and now it's 5 cents. He lost 95.5% of what he earned because that HVT token is paid out in the drip system. I'm not even, withdrawing it or converting it anymore. It just isn't worth it. It's not worth anything. There's no money going into the HVT. We originally thought that the HVT system, the HVT coin was going to be used in this new Hypernation to give it a use scenario where people would have to buy that HVT to go into the metaverse. But now we find out that Generos built a different token for the Hyperverse. So, we don't know of any use case scenario for HVT. So that's why it keeps going down, down, down. I think someone at the company's propping it up, throwing a little cash in there to keep liquidity, but it doesn't keep the price up. So that's not a good plan. They say everyone can cash out HVT, but it's unless something happens and it drastically goes up in value, that's not a good plan right now. So what we're doing, and we can't tell you what to do, and I'm going to give the floor to someone else here in a second, but I just wanted to get this off. David and I, we're not even rebuying at the moment. We're not enrolling anyone. We haven't been since they quit, since the first withdrawal failures and pending withdrawals. We're not recruiting anyone. We're not doing shows for this. We're not doing rebuys. We're just letting our HUs sit there, because at some point, and David will give this clarity, there may be a negotiation, and I'll let David talk about that, where you guys get to talk to people at corporate and negotiate how much of those pending rewards you get. I know I've got 2.5 million in pending rewards. I should have been withdrawing, but instead I was FOMO, fear of missing out, made me keep putting it in there and doing rebuys and stuff. So now I got 2.5 million tied up in there and another 1 million in pending withdrawals. So it's not doing any good to make more withdrawals or convert more of it to MOF, because MOF just goes down in value. HVT goes down in value. In fact, Bitcoin's going down in value. Ethereum's going down in value. Look at all these things. I mean, I can't tell you how much I've lost this year by holding cryptocurrency. And it doesn't mean cryptocurrency is bad. It just means it's a bad year, and it's going to take a little longer to see the profits. And I think that's what the company's doing. I think they're dragging out these payouts until there's a little bit of recovery in the system, until Bitcoin. And as Bitcoin goes up, all the other altcoins go up, including MOF. And I believe MOF is going to be the payment for the new Hypernation, and they're going to be going back to pan out the Hyperverse in MOF. But I'm going to pass it on to my good friend and business partner, David Chandler, and then we'll bring on our upline.
What do you want me to say, Troy? I'm reading this chat here, and it's all over the map. But I hope that what we're going to share with you tonight, you'll be able to make your own decisions and all that. I saw in here that is Sam Lee and Ryan Juice giving off the top and all these speculations and everything. And this is why we didn't do a show for a while, and we waited until we had some decent news, whether good, bad, or indifferent, to share with you. Because the minute we hear something and we tell you, or it just blows up. Everybody has a different concept of hearing that news and going, oh my gosh, the world's going to crash and we're going to be in a nuclear world war or something like this. Or somebody else would take it and run with it like it's the greatest thing in since sliced bread. We've been on calls with corporate. We asked corporate to be, like in the very beginning, transparent, trustworthy, so forth. And when Marcus comes on, he'll share some of his insights on it. But let me just kind of give you this: Hypernation, Hyperverse. Even though today we heard from Keith that there's supposed to be one, we'll tell you that what we heard from corporate, or the representatives that are supposed to be representing corporate, had told us that they're two different entities: Hyperverse, Hypernation. Hypernation, like Troy said, has new investors. And what we heard also is that the Hypernation's new investors really don't want to have anything to do with Hyperverse, and that they are going to run both at the same time. Somehow, eventually, maybe Hyperverse will merging with Hypernation, we don't know. And we can't tell you anything like that, but they're trying to push everybody towards Hypernation because that's the new thing and they want to roll that out. And that's the big train that's coming down very fast. Hyperverse, when we asked them, so what's going to happen with Hyperverse? Hyperverse will still be here, but it will be downgraded or downscale. And we asked them, what does that mean? You know, what is downscale? They said that they'll let us know. So we have no idea on that. And then when we said, so what's going to be involved with Hypernation? How do you get in? What's the packages? What's the comp plan? What is it going to be? And they said that they'll reveal that soon as they can. So we don't have any concrete information as to, like when you started with Hyper Capital or Hyper Fund, you knew what you were getting into. Here's the pay plan. This is what you get. 3x, blah, blah, blah. All of that was spelled out. And that's where we were trying to get with all these meetings with them is spell that out to us. Put it in writing somewhere. Let us know what that is. So with all that said, we had a meeting with them the first time, and they said to us that a week from now, we'll let you know V4s, V5s, nodes, super nodes will have an option to choose a node position in Hypernation. And we said, what is that? Well, we'll review that to you guys next week and say, okay, we're only going to review it to the V4, V5s, nodes, and super nodes. Well, guess what? When we went online the week after, it was posted online for everyone. Anyone in the community, whether you're just starting today or last week or whatever, you had the option of choosing the node position, which is the purple NFT for 10,000 and the platinum NFT for 100,000. So we got back on the call with them and we said, so what happened? Well, those are the nodes and those are the new packages. We were just, I guess, blown away by the communications of what they're saying in one side and their actions on the other. So we were really, really confused. So we tried to dig in a lot further, and then the last major conversation we had was Troy wasn't in the conversation, but I kept him up to date. It was Marcus, myself, and I believe 5 or 6 other big leaders. So we plainly kind of dug it all out from them and just kept asking the questions. Granted, we only had 30 minutes, and when the 30 minutes came up, they just disappeared right away. What we got from them so far on that call was that we asked them, so if we to purchase a position in Hypernation for a 10,000 NFT, we are allowed to carry over 10 levels deep of our organization. If we purchase a 100,000 NFT, which is the platinum, then we can carry over our whole community. Granted that, number one, they join in the Hypernation also, then they'll follow. If they stay in Hyperverse, then that means they stay in Hyperverse. So we just spent that 10 or 100,000 and only carry a certain amount of people. The second thing on that was, so what's going to happen with all of the pending rewards and everything when a person buys a 10,000 or 100,000 NFT? They said it'll be negotiated. And so Marcus and I kind of looked at each other at that time and said, negotiated? Okay, so what does that mean? Are you guys going to come out and say, okay, 30% across the board, 40% across the board, we're going to take off, or how's that negotiate going to work? They said, we would negotiate with you one-on-one. So Marcus and I kind of looked at each other and went one-on-one. The next thing was that, I asked the question, so what you're telling me is that if I buy a 10,000 NFT and it's new USDT, okay, you can't use certified rewards or HUs or whatever coin, GNX or anything. You can't. It has to be brand new USDT. I'll be able to carry 10 levels deep of my people. Then we're going to sit down and have a negotiations on my pending rewards. That's going to be with whoever purchases a 10 or 100,000. So I was a little confused, because normally when I go buy a car, I would go online and I would find out how much the car would cost me, and what am I going to get and what's in the package and all the different options, right? That you can pick, and then you'll know how much the price is. Then you can kind of negotiate. Would you go and buy a car and just give to the dealer, hey, here's my here's the dollar amount, and then hopefully you give me the car that I want? So what I'm bringing that point up is this: Troy and I, and probably, I don't know if I can speak for you, Marcus, but Troy and I are not going to do a Hypernation NFT for 10,000 or 100,000. There's got to be some fix with Hyperverse, some trust that needs to be put into Hyperverse. And then we also need to know what the plans are for Hypernation before we go blindly into it. And we told them that if you guys want us to look at the 10,000 or 100,000, we need to have the negotiations ahead of time, not after the fact. Because I think that when you purchase the 10,000 or 100,000 NFT and then you go to the negotiation table, think about it. Is there going to be any negotiations? Because if they told you, let's say, I'll give you an example. Troy, you have like what, 2.5 million in pending rewards, and he goes and buys 100,000 NFT. He goes to the table and they say, well, Troy, we're going to give you 10,000 pending rewards moved over. And Troy goes, no, sorry, that's the deal. What's Troy going to say? Give me my money back? So anyways, I just, I don't know if I carried that home or not, but I just wanted to let everyone know. Troy and I, and even Marcus, I'm sure, we want to know what's in Hypernation. What's the plan moving forward? Give us a detailed plan of what that is. What do you get for 10? What do you get for 100? What's going to happen? What's the payout? What's the new comp plan? All that stuff. And then also, what are you going to do with the Hyperverse, the people that don't want to move over? What is the downgrade on that? What is the new plan on that? Or is everybody going to be satisfied? All of that stuff before we move forward. So that's why during this time, we're not doing any rebuys. We're not sharing the opportunity. We're not doing any calls. And we're not, converting our HUs. We're just letting all the HUs, pending rewards, every day that's earned, sit in the rewards bucket until we know what's going on. Now, if we
Hey, let me jump in here for just a second, David. I've been watching the chat here, and Carol put in there, she said, Troy got a $100,000 NFT for free. Okay, you guys saw that on the Hypernation launch call. Well, actually, I never got that 100,000 NFT. They sent me a telegram with a message on it, and I was able to communicate back and forth with them. And I don't get the NFT unless I do a video promoting Hypernation. Well, I told them I don't know anything about Hypernation. I don't have enough information All I know is that you want me to cough up 100 grand for an NFT or 10 grand for an NFT to move over 10 levels. And everyone that wants to get in has to cough up at least 100 USDT for the basic, and you don't get to move any people over for that. That's all we know. We don't know what we're going to get, how to sell that NFT, how it makes any sense. So I told him, no, I'm not going to do a video to get that NFT. So no, I did not get it. Somebody's saying I got 100,000 NFT on a launch webinar is one thing, but me receiving it is another thing, and I haven't received it. So, and I think they kind of looked out there and they said, who's got big organizations and, who's, active. And I think they give favor to that. Now, a couple other guys got NFTs too, won them, and they haven't got them either because they weren't willing to do what it took to receive them, as far as I know. Now back to you, David. Sorry about cutting you off.
No, that was great. We're here for the community. We want everyone to win. Yes, we got into it early. We bring a lot of people in. We share with people, and we want everybody to be successful. But we're not going to jump over and do something that will hurt the community just for our own benefit. And they're right there. Troy did not accept that because they wanted him to endorse Hypernation. And we're sitting there going back and forth with corporate, trying to figure out how to move everybody, how to get everybody whole, how to make this whole community work. We're not going to sit there and say, hey, okay, I won this 100,000 NFT, and we're going to go forward for that because it only benefits us. That's not the way that we work. That's not the way that Troy works. That's not the way that Satoshi works. And that's not the way that Marcus and some of these, good leaders work. We want everyone to win. So
one other thing, David, I just want to let everyone know, this Hyperverse is a real company. They've got real employees, real business. Ryan Zhu, he's on the board of directors of a couple publicly traded companies here in the US. He's an officer. In fact, all those rumors about him scamming off to Dubai, that's complete BS. Those YouTubers don't listen to YouTube bloggers. He's last I knew, he's living in Los Angeles because it works better for him. Now, if you're living in Los Angeles in the USA, you're an easy target. And so he's not doing a rug pull. He's going to make sure that they hold up their end of the bargain. Now, yeah, the business model doesn't appear to be working. And they may not have anticipated the crash in cryptocurrencies and how it affected their larger businesses, their overall business structure. Coinbase is laying off employees. Several hedge funds have went bankrupt. They've lost liquidity in this crash. Celsius, the cryptocurrency lender, is it's looking like they're insolvent and not going to be able to give people's Bitcoin back. I mean, the Terra Luna thing, it's just on and on. There's been failure after failure. And with these cryptos, it affects every business. Coinbase is a publicly traded company. I thought I was smart. I bought their stock a couple of years ago for 325. I mean, it launched at 400. I picked it up when it made a dip at 325, and my portfolio immediately went up. Well, I should have got rid of it. Today it's $50. It may not be 50 today. It was 50 a week ago. It may be 10 today. It's just plummeting. So that affects every business. And so, I know Sam Lee. He's not a scammer. He's not trying to scam. He's trying to make business. That's what businessmen do. He's trying to make things work. He's bringing in Hypernation with all new investors to make a business model work. But it's got to be win-win. I mean, the investors got to make money. It's not just for paying us. And according to the corporate representatives, the Hyperverse investors do not want to bail out. I'm sorry, the Hypernation investors, the new Hypernation investors don't want this new money coming in to be used to bail out the Hyperverse members' liabilities. And so that's going to be something that Sam Lee and Ryan Zhu have to do. I mean, they do not want to go to jail. That, that would definitely be a Ponzi scam. So everyone's going to get paid. Everyone's going to get paid their memberships that they put in. And, possibly that call today, it sounded like maybe more, maybe 3X or 4X after they get the initial. Didn't that sound that way to you, David?
Yes, that sounded that way. I mean, the first thing, their first priority right now is to make sure that everyone gets whole back, meaning, whatever they have put in, at least get that back first. And then they're working their way around to the pending rewards and all this. And what Choi is saying, so I read on the chat here, somebody said that's mismanaged and all this. It could be, but then it could be the market, but then it also could be the members who did, hundreds and thousands of accounts underneath each other to reap the benefits and the rewards and all that. And that could have done something to it too. There's just so many different things, but instead of us trying to go back and say, okay, it's a mismanagement or is this or that, all we were trying to do is what is moving forward? What is the plan? Give us a roadmap, give us a printed plan that we can share with the community, and everyone can have an idea of what to do next. That's all we were trying to get to. And so this show is to share with you all that we are trying to do.
Whew. Well, a lot of information in that video. A lot of information. Let's just go and have one quick look at Bitcoin Rodney. He's offering 45 million HU. Here it is here. 45 million HU that he no longer wants. Supposedly this is worth 45 million US dollars. He doesn't care about it. You know why? It's worthless. Essentially, it's worthless at the moment to him. He's probably already got millions, that's fine. But this $45 million, been and gone, no good. Well, that was a long, long video. I hope you learned a lot out of this. Hypernation, is it all it's cracked up to be? Well, I'm not so sure. But anyway, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next video coming up. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Well, hopefully you did. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below, and we'll catch you in the next video. Catch you later. Bye-bye.